I can't believe this Star Wars mystery hasn't been solved after 23 years. It's been 23 years since Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones first premiered, and I can't believe that this Star Wars mystery from the movie still hasn't been solved. One thing about Star Wars is that it often finds a way to explain every minute detail of the movies, to the point where those who are the most well-versed in Star Wars knowledge can identify just about every species, object, and more, with few exceptions. This is especially true for the Star Wars prequel trilogy, which was certainly placed under a microscope. Oddly enough, though, one specific mystery in Attack of the Clones surrounding Jango Fett did not receive this same treatment. Fans have been left wondering for years how they can solve this mystery, and in the 2 decades since this movie was released, Star Wars still hasn't aided in that effort. What mystery has the franchise continued to leave unanswered even today, and what are the possible explanations fans have been trying to come up with? Jango Fett's Boba, Rudet Sohik, still hasn't been translated. While conversing with Obi-Wan Kenobi on Kamino for the first time in Attack of the Clones, Jango speaks to Boba and says Boba, Rudet Sohik, a phrase with a specific spelling that's shown in the captions, but is never given a translation. For a galaxy as big as Star Wars, it's not surprising to hear different languages, but the franchise hasn't even gone to the lengths of sharing what language Jango is speaking here. That's extremely odd, given the fact that Star Wars has not only identified plenty of languages before, but has also translated several key phrases. Though the context in which Jango uses this phrase can help to deduce what it may mean, in that it has to do with Boba helping to hide Jango's armor, that's not the major takeaway here. What's significant is that Star Wars, for whatever reason, has seemed to completely ignore this mysterious language for decades, despite how precise they are usually in identifying things like that. While there are a few possibilities as to what this language could be, none have been confirmed and are in fact far from that. Is this Mando'a, another language, or their own secret code? Given the fact that Jango was canonically a Mandalorian foundling, as shared in The Mandalorian Season 2, then it stands to reason that Jango would have known Mando'a. This is especially true when looking at his armor, which utilizes Mando'a lettering, something even Boba continues to use. It would make sense, then, if this phrase was Mando'a, though that language has been quite fleshed out in the years following Attack of the Clones, and none of these words, or the phrase as a whole, have ever been identified as such. Despite being fleshed out in novels and more, Mando'a is rarely used in Star Wars itself, having only been heard in Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and the Book of Boba Fett at the time of writing. It could be then that Star Wars simply hasn't decided what new language this is, or that Jango and Boba made up their own secret code to maintain secrecy. The latter seems especially likely, given that Jango would likely have wanted to keep some secrets from the Kaminoans, among others, like Obi-Wan. Even if this is the case, it would be nice to have this Attack of the Clones mystery solved one day, especially now that it's been well over 2 decades since these words were first spoken.